Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2018 Career Mode, episode number 146 today for the Brazilian Grand Prix in Season 7, the penultimate round of this season. If you guys did miss the previous one, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. But heading into this one then, obviously we've got a bit of a championship lead, a 9-point lead to Gasly, but that's a very important lead because going into here today, Sao Paulo, Brazil, it's always been historically a really tough one on this game. The AI are very good around Sao Paulo, so I'm expecting a big fight back from Red Bull and Gasly today, so it really is going to be damage limitation compared to the last few ones where we've been on the offensive really and tried to take some points away from Gasly and extend our lead, whereas this one I really think will be defending that kind of lead before we go into the finale at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So heading to this one then, you saw the performance chart, nothing really changed. Everyone is pretty much at this stage saving resource points for the R&D reset into Season 8. So we go straight into Q1 then and try and do the best job we can. Already sitting one lap time there. Wasn't that great though. That a bit of a banker lap really, and coming across the line for the second time. And that is our proper lap time there up into P6, and that will get us through into Q2 along with Leclerc. Gasly made it through into Q2 on soft tyres, so he's way down there in P13, but he doesn't have to use a whole set of super softs there. But unfortunately, going into Q2 then, we get hit with a major obstacle in the second part of qualifying.
We've got a situation at the moment. Seems like something's off with the fuel injection system. We're looking into it, but we're going to be out of action for a few minutes.
So that's really not what we need, a major fuel system fault. That's going to take us out for nearly just under 7 minutes there in Q2, which is a big deal because there's only 14 minutes in the session left really at this stage. So pretty much nearly half of the session is going to be gone with this fuel system fault. So this will give us time to maybe just about squeeze in 2 runs, but I'm going to try and hopefully get through on 1 run. But it did mean that the AI got to, set some simulated time. So let's see, hopefully, fingers crossed, I don't have too many issues there. A little bit wide on the apex on that right-hander before we go down, and then even further down the hill in the last sector here at Sao Paulo before climbing all the way back up onto the main pit straight. Obviously the power is going to be needed here, but our car has been pretty draggy in the last few episodes compared to other cars. So let's see what the lap time will be. It has been a pretty tidy lap time though, so I think it hopefully should be good enough to get us into Q3, across the line up into P3, and thankfully that fuel system fault has not already hindered us too much there. We're into the top 10 shootout. Gasly up there, of course. Leclerc makes it through, which is good for us. Fernando Alonso surprisingly did not make it through. He was knocked out in P11, which was very odd to see, but both Mercs are right there. I'm hoping the 2 Mercs can try and challenge the Red Bull cars to try and take some points off them. But the Toro Rossos also looking surprisingly good. Both Toro Rossos through and ahead of Alonso there. So that is, I don't know, it looks like all the Red Bull family are firing on all cylinders, trying to stop me scoring some good points, I guess, maybe today. As we now move into the dying stages of the top 10 shootout, we've already set 1 lap time there. You can see in the top left, that's good enough to have us in P6 at the moment behind Carlos Sainz. I believe at the moment a Mercedes was on pole, but I suspect Gasly will be trying his best to try and gun for the front row. But if the Mercedes can stay up top, that would be very ideal for us. But we go through the last few corners then, and we wrestle the car through up the hill. Then we're actually going to switch this to overtake mode on the ERS to give us any last bit of performance there as we run to the line. We have improved a little bit on the top right there, getting some time across the line though. Will it be any improvement? No, it won't be, because we improve in time but not position, because others are behind us that set better lap times, and we're down to P8 here after the qualifying session. So it's a 1-2 for Mercedes there. The Toro Rosso out-qualifies the Red Bull. Stoffel Van Dorn ahead of Gasly and Esteban Ocon ahead of Verstappen. So very peculiar to see Toro Rosso ahead of their bigger sister team Red Bull Honda. So that's a little bit odd, but we're in P8 and Leclerc P10, way off the pace. So I don't know what on earth went wrong with Leclerc, but clearly our car is not doing amazingly around Sao Paulo. So yeah, it really is going to be a major damage limitation race. So we go to Sunday, let's just do the best job we can. We have 9 points ahead of Gasly, so that's quite a lot of points to play with. So here's hoping we can do a good job and end up positive still coming out the end of this Grand Prix. Let's go to the grid.
Where there's a will, well, there's a way. And nowhere has that fact been better demonstrated over the years than here at Interlagos. Remember Senna winning while fighting a gearbox that was jammed in 6th? 5 Drivers' Championship deciders in a row between 2005 and 2009. And of course, the passionate Brazilian fans packing the grandstands to capacity every year. And they're not about to stop now. It's an unusual anti-clockwise race here at Interlagos, where the Sao Paulo locals are packed into the grandstands at each of the 15 corners around this classic 2.7-mile circuit. Two very fast sections bookend the famous and highly technical Sector 2, where getting a good run out of Junsao into one of the two DRS zones will be the key to any overtaking prospects today. Anthony Davidson joins me again for the race today. Let's talk about the engineer. Everything's on the line here today and the title hangs in the balance. So how do you think they'll be coping with all that pressure?
I think as long as they keep their mind on the task and not its historical significance, they'll be just fine. This is a race just like any other. You do the best you can and accept that sometimes things are going to happen outside of your control. If they can approach today with that attitude, the pressure shouldn't be a problem.
And so with that, let's take a look at the starting grid then ahead the Brazilian Grand Prix for Season 7 of my F1 2018 career. And just like Anthony Davidson said, sometimes things do happen outside of control and sometimes they're quite positive, because Lewis Hamilton on pole position, but Van Dorn in second place on the front row, Ocon in third place with Ricciardo P4, Hulkenberg takes a penalty down to P5, myself in P6, Sainz in P7, Leclerc P8, and Sergio Perez and Raikkonen around in the top 10, with Pierre Gasly down in P12 and Max Verstappen down in P14, both Red Bull Hondas with major grid penalties. Fernando Alonso also gets a grid penalty down to P18, with the last row, Brent Hartley and Magnussen, the bottom four, all the grid penalties, and so a major change ahead of the Brazilian Grand Prix. So the Formula 1 gods have looked down upon us and we're up into P6 now at the starting grid, with both Red Bull Hondas handed grid penalties for engine component changes. That's obviously the beauty of having a maxed out car from pretty much episode number 3 of this season, was the fact that our reliability of the components was so good. No changes needed in that regard. So both myself and Leclerc capitalised majorly, and we need to now, just like Mexico, like I said, take this opportunity with both hands here, even more so at Sao Paulo, because like I said, the AI are always good around here, and I still think Gasly has a very good chance of coming back through this, so we need to be vigilant and we need to make sure we make the most of this in the first stint. Going to be a 2-stop here today, 2 sets of super softs as default, but I think we might have to go to 2 sets of soft tyres, because I remember the tyre wear has historically been quite poor around Sao Paulo for at least myself versus the AI. But here we go then to 5 red lights, the second last race of this season. Can we hold on to the championship lead? 5 red lights are out and we're underway. It's an okay start for us, a good one for the Mercedes car up ahead as we go to turn 1. It's a good start for my teammate as well, Leclerc, who tries to go around the outside as we lock up on the front left, where we managed to go through this CNRS and remain in P6 side by side now for the 2 Toro Rosso cars, I think, up ahead of Esteban Ocon and Van Dorn as Hamilton gets away in first place. Yep, the 2 Toro Rossos side by side. I think that's Ocon on the right, Van Dorn on the inside there, and then you've got Ricciardo battling Hulkenberg for P4 and 5. Ourselves in P6, and Leclerc is now actually dropped down to P8 because Carlos Sainz is up into P7, and up ahead of me, Ricciardo does an amazing job of slinging around the outside of Hulkenberg, and that gives us a chance to go around the outside. Really nice camera shot to show you where Hulkenberg's car is, and we do a great opportunistic job of going down the inside there of the next left-hander, and we're now up into P5. Thank you very much, Ricciardo, really, for helping out in that kind of move. And so now it's Hamilton from the 2 Toro Rossos, Ricciardo, myself, Hulkenberg behind me. Gasly at the moment, it looks like is still around P10 or so he's had a good start and already made some positions up, and we'll see how we go as we go through this Grand Prix. Gasly now, speaking of the man, our championship rival in this season, is now going to try and make a move on a Ferrari car there. Lots of sparks flying away for the AI cars. Gasly round the outside, Verstappen also round the outside of their other car, the Force India. So both Red Bulls were overtaking respectively their guys on track, and so Gasly ahead of Raikkonen then, and he's now chasing after the other Force India as Verstappen's dispatch of that first one. So I think that's Sergio Perez up ahead, and Bottas has been dispatched with by Verstappen. So Gasly already now inside the top 10, I think, and he's going to now go for a move on the other Force India car around the outside, and once he's done that, he'll have Charles Leclerc, my teammate, next up on the race order, and there he goes down the inside of the CNRS. Very nice move there around the outside as he goes along the long left-hander, and now, yeah, there you can see that Sauber car of my teammate Charles Leclerc is up next, and it's only 2 more positions, and then he's got myself in his sight. So Gasly's only 4 positions behind us here, so he's already kind of back into this Grand Prix, really. He obviously got pushed down a fair bit down the grid order, but he's already made a stonking start, so what did I say? And so now we move on to lap 5 though, and good things may be happening for us, because Ricciardo goes very defensive here and really compromises his exit as we go down the hill now before going back up the hill in sector 2, and we make a move to the inside now, and up the hill we do battle. Ricciardo just about gives us enough room. I give him enough room on the outside there as we go through down in the undulating part of sector 2, and we are literally jockeying looking for position left and right, and we're still neck and neck as we go to the next apex there, and the Mercedes car of Hülkenberg is tucking up right behind us there, and we're really holding each other up at this stage. We're near flat out through the long left-hander, down the hill, bit of contact made with Ricciardo, as Ricciardo's really trying to get the elbows out there. I get my tyre on the grass and the curb, and so that doesn't give me a good exit. Bit of oversteer to contend with, and now Hülkenberg is on my left-hand side, and is actually side by side with me there, so I have to try and close back up to Ricciardo. DRS open, that helps out, so we overtake not one but two there, and get ahead of Hülkenberg, who's now overtaken Ricciardo, and it's 3 abreast into turn 1 for Gasly and the Renault and McLaren there in the background there. Wonderful stuff there. Well, absolute scenes through the centre S there, as they almost made it 3 wide for the entire complete S, as now we go defensive against Carlos Sainz, who's the one attacking us. Behind, Gasly is still jousting Ricciardo, and Hülkenberg's in the middle in a sandwich there. We've maintained our position ahead of Carlos Sainz, but for how much longer really, because it looks like we're losing some pace with some tyre wear really kicking in, as we've lost a lot of pace to Van Dorn, the Toro Rosso ahead of us. But look at this train now, myself, Carlos Sainz, then you've got Hülkenberg, Ricciardo, and there is Gasly. Only 3 cars separate myself and Gasly, so, you know, it might have looked like a really promising, you know, start on the starting grid, like I said, with Gasly way down the order with the grid penalty, but now he's pretty much near enough on the same straight as us now, so pretty much it's been equalised in terms of the good luck we got. And now to lap 7, Sainz shoots one down the inside. I'm going to try and cut back line, and it works out really well. The switchback of dreams down the inside. We're back up into P4, but like I said, how much longer can we hold up this train? Because really, I am doing a bit of a trolley train at the moment, because I'm losing a lot of pace here compared to the Toro Rosso, and you can see on the mini-map how much I'm training these guys at the moment. As we now move on to lap number 9, Sainz down the inside. This time I try and go around the outside there, but as we go down the hill, Sainz has the acceleration. He cuts across. I try maybe see we're going to have some space on the left-hand side. Doesn't work out, and so now I find myself behind Sainz and just ahead of Gasly. Yeah, Gasly's overtaken Ricciardo and Hülkenberg in the time it took Sainz to overtake me, and so Gasly is now directly behind me. And so yeah, as we go on to lap 10, it literally has only taken 10 laps for Gasly, our championship rival, to close right back up to us with those grid penalties. And so into turn 1, we go very defensive to the inside there. Gasly tries the long way around. It's worked out twice for him so far in this Grand Prix, not this time though, and we're very, very eager to keep this position, of course, and so we do so for now in P6. But Gasly, he's been so rapid in these first 10 laps that I think it's only inevitable, and so pretty much now is when the damage limitation portion of this race begins, because those first 10 laps I was maybe thinking, okay, can we potentially actually beat Gasly this race and pull off a miracle here? But no, now it looks like it might be a damage limitation kind of race, because up the hill now we go so wide there with a tyre wear, and Gasly pushes us through the corner there, bumps us up the right-hander, and out to the left we try our best to jostle him for position, but he's got the grip, the supreme downforce there, and he's overtaken us. So I think that might be it. I think that's the last we see of Gasly in this Grand Prix, unfortunately, as we now come in for a pit stop lap 10, a scheduled one. That wasn't just me kind of bolting in after getting overtaken there. I was always going to plan to come in on lap 10, but straight away Gasly then, you know, took the opportunity. I wasn't really expecting it, you know. I went up the hill, yes, a little bit understeery up the hill because of the tyre wear, and so I kind of opened up some space there, but I didn't expect Gasly to, you know, send one down the inside there, and so aggressively, you know, bumped me almost off circuit completely to make the overtake. So I was definitely taking my surprise there, and so we come out now on lap 11, and we're down to last place, but a lot of clean air. So hopefully we can try and maybe do something here in this clean air and try and jump some time as we now come down the back straight there, and Ricciardo is only just behind us there. So actually, it's probably a good thing we did that undercut, otherwise I probably would have been overtaken by Ricciardo in the pit stop phases. Meanwhile, ahead of me is Carlos Sainz, because Gasly somehow has overtaken Carlos Sainz in the pit stop phases. I don't know if Renault had a bad pit stop, but Gasly has already jumped Carlos Sainz, and it's so up into a net P4 position, I think, because it was Hamilton, the 2 Toro Rossos, then Carlos Sainz. So I think Gasly now is a net P4 behind the 2 Toro Rossos and Hamilton. So that's not really too great for me, to be honest, but as we go on through, we're flicking through all the cars on track still, and a few of these guys yet to make pit stops, a few of them trying maybe a long stint, including our teammate Leclerc, who's going very long and super soft. So I suspect Leclerc might be trying a very cheeky one stop onto medium tyres. But as we move on now to lap 14, we've just watched Carlos Sainz overtake Brendan Hartley in the second McLaren there. Hartley going quite long on soft tyres that has been on since the start of the Grand Prix, so hopefully this will be a swift overtake for us. And so basically myself and Sainz and Ricciardo here, as well as the guys ahead of us, Gasly, 2 Toro Rossos and the Mercedes, we're all getting through some traffic that are trying one stop here. And so we go down the inside of Hartley. He goes very awkward on the apex there. So that was a bit of a overly aggressive corner for myself, I will admit. But Hartley was moving so weirdly in the brake zone and mid-apex there. So we just have to take what we get, really. And so now we move up into P7 with a few people finally making their first pit stop of the Grand Prix then. Van Dorn now is the car up ahead, and that's because he has got some sort of mechanical issue. And so we move on to lap 18. We're right up the chuff of the Belgian man. We go down the inside and make a very unorthodox pass now around the outside there. We got some crazy traction compared to him, and so Van Dorn, my engineer, did tell me he had an issue there with the car, and so he's dropped down from what was a net P3 now down behind me into P6 or even further maybe in this Grand Prix. So we all get gifted one free position. So at the moment I think the running order is going to be Hamilton, Ocon, Gasly, Sainz and myself. So I'm really hoping Ocon doesn't have an issue like Van Dorn and Hamilton can continue to dominate this Brazilian Grand Prix, because as it stands with Gasly in P3 and myself in P5, Gasly would be gaining 5 points on me in the championship, bringing down the total gap I have to Gasly in the championship down to 4 points. So I need to hope that it can remain kind of like this. But as we move on then through the Grand Prix towards almost the second pit stop phase, we've got Sainz in the pit lane as well as Gasly and Hamilton, I think. Ocon continues on, so we're going to go through the center S&B up into P2 in this Grand Prix now. So Hamilton, it looks like he's onto soft tyres. I wasn't too sure about Gasly. It looks like Sainz actually went to super softs. And so we continue on for one more lap on lap 23, and now we're going to come in. So we basically split the strategy, the laps basically half and half. We went 13 on these softs and we'll go another 13 on another set of soft tyres to the end of the Grand Prix. Hockenheim comes in with me, as well as the Red Bull Honda of Max Verstappen, who we haven't seen too much. So once again, Gasly doing a much better job than Verstappen in that Red Bull Honda car. But a good pit stop from my crew. We don't get overtaken by Hockenheim or Verstappen in the pit lane as we come down through. Where are we going to feed out now? Because we've got a lot of cars who might jump us because of their one stop, including my teammate Leclerc, you know. And so as we come through down the pit exit, Raikkonen ahead of us. We actually got both Ferrari cars ahead of us of Raikkonen and Vettel as well. Like I said, my teammate Leclerc has also jumped me because all these guys ahead, the Force India there as well, trying a one stop. Then you've got Carlos Sainz, who is also there in the middle of things. Sainz is actually behind my teammate Leclerc. Then you got Hamilton, and Gasly somehow is now ahead of Hamilton. Again, Gasly's gained a position, and I haven't seen where it happened. He overtook Sainz in the pit stop phases. I didn't see that overtake. And again, Gasly somehow has just got ahead of Hamilton now in the pit stop phase. So in all of that, Hamilton's had an absolute mare and is down to P3. A Toro Rosso leads the Grand Prix of Ocon, and Gasly's in P2. And I wouldn't be surprised if Toro Rosso and Red Bull swap those two. So this is very bad news, because Gasly might be on for a very easy win in the end if they swap positions, you know. And at the same time, we've got traffic to also contend with. But now the safety car is called out with Kevin Magnussen out this Grand Prix. So I was about to say we have a heap of traffic to contend with to get through before we even try and chase after any other cars for position that are on the same race strategy as us. But now the safety car is out, and so this will bunch up everyone. But I believe the race order is Ocon, Gasly, Hamilton. Then you've got a kind of mix of Leclerc, Sainz, the two Ferrari cars, and myself. So we've got to try and overtake these two Ferraris. Force India as well, I remember, it was up there as well, as we have a very awkward kind of encounter with the safety car there, as Raikkonen nearly takes me out there under the safety car. But yeah, so I think it's Ocon, Gasly, Hamilton, Leclerc, Sainz, a Force India car, two Ferraris, and then myself in P9 if I'm correct there. And so we've got a lot of cars to get through. The only good thing is some of those cars, like the two Ferraris and my teammate and the Force India, will be on one stop, so their tyres should in theory be a lot more worn than mine, and also a lot of them are on medium tyres. So we could still turn this around, but for now I'm in P9 and Gasly's in P2. So as it stands right now, it's not a very nice position to be in at all. So we now move on to lap 27, 9 laps to go in this Grand Prix, and green flag is going, and we're getting underway for the restart of this Grand Prix. And so we need to try and make a move straight away into turn 1, hopefully on Raikkonen, but Raikkonen might have other ideas as well. And so we go 3 wide with the two Ferrari cars. Absolutely amazing shot there as Raikkonen decided to dive down the inside of Vettel, as I decided to dive down the inside of Raikkonen. So very, very odd. I don't think Vettel knew what on earth was going on, but we're up 2 positions already, up into what will be now P7 in this Grand Prix. Meanwhile, the Force India ahead, then the Renault of Sainz, Leclerc, and then you can see the race order it here as I confirmed it. Ocon in the lead of this Grand Prix. Crazy. The French, it's a 1-2 for France at the moment, but Ocon and the Toro Rosso doing absolute bits here in P1. Gasly P2 though, my championship rival. Then it's Hamilton. Leclerc then is after Hamilton, doing a pretty damn good job actually on that one stop, to be fair to Leclerc. Then you got the Force India and Renault there, so hopefully I can overtake the Force India with easy pickings here around the outside. The Force India car, solid midfield car, and on medium tires, even easier to overtake. Around the outside, beautiful overtake there, and so we're up into P6 now. So this is the progress I need to be making, and now can I try and overtake Carlos Sainz? I'm kind of hoping Leclerc can maybe help me out in that department, maybe defend against the Renault enough that I can overtake him easily. But meanwhile, here goes Gasly making a move for the race leader. Big dive down the inside from the Frenchman here for P1, and the two Frenchmen swap positions. Gasly up into P1, Ocon P2, and meanwhile we cut back to our POV, and Leclerc is defending from the Renault car very successfully for now, and so this has allowed us to close up to the Spaniard here. Can we make a move on either of these guys? Sainz pulled out to maybe make another move on Leclerc, and doing so slows them both up there. We're down the inside of Leclerc. Can we make this move as we go up the hill then to sector 2, and we send one around the outside, and we're just going to make that work. And so thank you very much, Leclerc. Helps us out a little bit there, because now we're right up the chuff of Carlos Sainz, and we could try and make a move soon enough. And as we move on then through this Grand Prix, some fighting for P2 between Ocon and Hamilton. Hamilton getting angsty, trying to get a place back from Ocon. Down the inside he goes, and so a little bit of contact made between the Brit and the Frenchman, and so Hamilton is through up into P2, but Ocon is right on his tail. And that Toro Rosso seems so hooked up around Sao Paulo, and so Ocon pulls out for another move to the inside, is back into P2, and now Sainz is up there. I've closed up there. We just about managed to avoid some major contact with Carlos Sainz, but I think we damaged our wing a little bit there, tapping his rear end, because Sainz literally was a roadblock there on that left-hander, because he got held up by Hamilton so much. So now we've only got a finite amount of laps left of this Grand Prix, and now we move on to the second last lap of the Grand Prix this is, and once again Hamilton goes for a move for P2, but myself and Sainz are right there for the taking. So we're in P5 at the moment. Gasly's leading the way. We need to desperately try and gain some more positions to try and limit the damage that Gasly's going to do to us in the championship. So here goes Hamilton Ocon again, scrapping away side by side this time through that left-hander, and Sainz now is getting held up massively. So could we make a move up the hill like we did on Leclerc, sling one around the outside? We're going to go deep on purpose, and here we go around the outside, plant the power now, little bit of contact. We just about wrestle the car through on the exit of the curb, and we're up into P4 of the Brazilian Grand Prix. It's a nice move on Carlos Sainz. I don't know if we can try and get Hamilton or Ocon, but at least we got Carlos Sainz, and so that will, if it ends like this, P4 for us would obviously be 12 points. Gasly with 25, so he would take the lead of the championship, but at least we've limited the damage, because, you know, I didn't expect him to win the Grand Prix, but lo and behold, on the minimap you can see he's waltzed away in P1, and so somehow Gasly's done the impossible and turned an outside top 10 position with a grid penalty into a race win here at Brazil, as we now move on to the last lap of the Grand Prix there. Ocon and Hamilton still fighting. We're still doing a job to try and defend against Carlos Sainz, and thankfully for my damage limitation race, I am able to consolidate P4 ahead of Carlos Sainz, but Gasly sets the fast lap of the Grand Prix, crosses the line to win the Brazilian Grand Prix, and so he's going to get 25 points. I'll get 12, and so the swing will go back to him in the championship.
Nice work, you did well today. I think the boss will be happy with that one.
So as they climb out of the car, the Red Bull team are ready and waiting to celebrate a thoroughly well-deserved win. And I have to wonder, Anthony Davidson, just what set them apart from the competition here.
Well, they played the safety car to absolute perfection. There are so many factors to worry about once the race is neutralised. I mean, do you pit for fresh rubber? Do you have the space behind you? How much fuel can you save? If you answer all of those questions correctly, you'll have a good chance. And that's exactly what happened today.
What can I say? I told you guys, I told you, Sao Paulo, Brazil was always going to be the one where Gasly brings it back and was going to always beat me. I didn't think he was going to beat me like that, though. I thought, okay, he might beat us and get like P4, P5 from where he was on the grid, and we'll come in like P6. But he won the Grand Prix. Unbelievable stuff. Like, I think he definitely got unlucky with the grid penalty. I think you have to say, though, and you know, admit that he got lucky in that race in terms of the way he got back through that. Ocon there with the safety car bunching up and overtaking him then in the end. I don't know what on earth happened to Hamilton and Sainz both times. Gasly just jumping them both in the pit stop phases. And so the constructors as well, Red Bull get back up into the lead of this championship by only a couple of points though. In the driver championship, the one we're really concerned about, Gasly now is up 4 points to myself as we go into Abu Dhabi. So there you have it, guys. We set up the season finale. I'm trailing Gasly by 4 points, and it's all down to the final race at Abu Dhabi. Him in the Red Bull Honda, myself in the Alfa Romeo Sauber. And remember, my car is the inferior one here, so it is going to be a really, really tough challenge. Probably the hardest challenge I might have had so far in this F1 2018 career. But as we go to the end of the episode, then it's been a while since I've shown you guys the R&D tree. So there you go. Those are the kind of upgrades I've done for next season in terms of the adaptation for the R&D reset here. But yeah, it's all to play for then. Gasly, though, he has been a monster this season. I think that was his 8th win, I think. I think that's his 8th win, and I've only had 4 wins. So he's had double the wins I've had. But to be fair to me as well, I've been uber consistent. I think I've had, like, if I look at the chart there, I've had so many P4s, it's ridiculous. Like, ironically, I've had so many P4 places in the races, and that just happens to be the number of points I'm behind Gasly there. So it actually works out quite nicely there. But there you go. Yeah, that's been a long season in Season 7. It really has felt like a long drag, but it all goes down to this then. The next episode, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the season finale, Gasly versus myself, 4 points in it. Guys, if you did enjoy this episode, smash that like button. Let me know your thought in the comments below. If you are new around here, subscribe for weekly full-on content. But I've been aarava. Hope you enjoyed the day, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.